Andre? Andre? Andre! Sorry guys, I think he's lost in the Great Sea. But that doesn't mean we can't keep the old analysis machine oiled and ready to go. Lucky for us, Sega just released a brand new Sonic Lost World overview trailer for the Tokyo Game Show. So we're going to do what we do best and see what secrets we can find with or without Andre. But as always, be sure to watch our previous analyses if you haven't already, as we'll be skipping over things we've already covered. With that said, let's get started. Now the TGS trailer shows a lot of levels from all of Lost World, with Windy Hill, Desert Ruins, and Frozen Factory all being represented. But it also sneaks in several scenes from Tropical Coast, a world we've heard about but haven't actually seen in action yet. And we can see here that it matches the same general feel of the 3D levels past worlds, namely that you can walk 360 degrees around the little planets. But of course it looks quite different, with palm trees, pools of water, beaches, and even water spouts. The real challenge here though is the fact that Sonic can't swim. Will the deeper pools of water act as instant death traps, or will it be more like the 2D games where Sonic has to get out of the water before he drowns? Well, based on another scene where Sonic is using the drill power to travel underwater, we suspect it'll be the latter, as was the case with Sonic Colors. After all, Lost World is heavily influenced by classic Sonic games, and it'd be a shame not to scare a new generation with his drowning music. Another element of the Tropical Coast levels is the presence of giant pieces of fruit. We last saw these being used by Zik during his boss battle, but here they act like giant stage hazards. Or maybe they're just decoration, since we never see Sonic get hit by one, often opting to just ignore them outright. However, there is one scene where the apples are sliced to pieces after Sonic destroys all the enemies. Why does that happen? Were they just blocking the way forward, or does it simply add some visual flair? Tropical Coast isn't the only new level we see though. There's a new 2D level that uses the same darkness element from Zora's boss fight, and as with that fight, there are switches nearby that presumably turn the light back on. They even look remarkably similar to the switches in Act 2 of Sandopolis Zone in Sonic & Knuckles, which also featured lights that kept ghosts at bay. But there's no sign of those ghosts this time, so did the switches only benefit Sonic by casting light? It seems odd when we see many scenes of him getting through the level just fine without any light. Surely they must serve some other purpose. But this also leads into another question. As we saw before, the boss fight with Zora takes place in an area very similar to this. What if it's the same one? In Sonic Colors and Sonic Generations, bosses would have their own dedicated levels, but Sonic Lost World seems to be reintroducing the idea of boss battles appearing at the end of regular levels. This dark level is one example, but the best one is the other 2D Silent Forest level. There we can see a giant owl in the background atop a tree. The same owl and arena that we saw Sonic fight Zora on in the boss's trailer, which we also noted contained the rest of the level in the background. Now we're traveling along and can see that track spirals toward the center where the boss battle takes place. This seems like the best evidence to date that the Deadly Six will appear at the end of a stage rather than having their own dedicated stage. This same level also shows off another returning enemy, the Ball Hog, except this one's huge and painted gold. Sonic can't even homing attack it, instead kicking its bombs back at it. The trailer also shows off more of the boss battle against Zomom, specifically the one that has him spinning near the destroyed blocks. Before we thought he might become a tornado and chase you throughout the level, but here we can clearly see that this is an enclosed area. So what if his boss fight takes place at the beginning of the level, and after damaging enough times, he forms the full tornado to give chase? Either way, based on this new evidence and the fact that the other fight with Zomnom that was shown, it's safe to say that each member of the Deadly Six will have to be fought twice. Along with the new levels, we also got another look at the Wisp powers. Along with the newly revealed ones, the returning Wisps have been slightly tweaked, such as the drill power able to be used in 3D and entering a first-person view to aim the rocket power. But there's more to be seen here, such as how the Wisp powers will control exactly. We already knew that the laser could be aimed before flicking it forward, but thanks to the gamepad on screen, we think we know how the other Wisp will control. For example, the gamepad is tilting while both the bomb and eagle powers are being used. It looks like you'll be using tilt controls for them. Meanwhile, the gamepad actually starts tapping while the rhythm power is in use. Perhaps you have to shake the gamepad in rhythm to the notes on the screen. Finally, as we said before, the rocket power enters a first-person view when in use, but it looks like you can use the gamepad to control the reticule instead. We also get a look at some of the mechanics behind Wisps, such as the symbol in the top right of some scenes, which we can see decrease as the power is being used. However, there are some moments where it doesn't show a Wisp, but the 7 Chaos Emeralds. And if you know anything about Sonic, then you know that means Super Sonic looks to be making an appearance. For the third game in a row, it looks like you'll be able to control Super Sonic through the regular levels rather than reserve him for the final battle. But how do you collect the Chaos Emeralds? Are they automatically automatically given while playing through the story, or do you have to earn them through special stages? The trailer also gives us a look at the 3DS version of Sonic Lost World, and while the game is similar to the Wii U version except with some original level designs, it adds a few unique features as well, such as crafting RC vehicles. These can be used in the Wii U version by a second player, but it looks like this is the first time we get to see every type of RC. There's a helicopter, a hovercraft, a UFO, a stealth jet, a fighter jet, a hot air balloon with a claw attachment, and Omochao, and if we had to guess, each of these vehicles will come with their own special traits. The helicopter is likely the basic version, while the hovercraft can create platforms like we saw in previous trailers. The stealth jet probably works much like the fighter jet except that it can stay hidden from enemies, and the UFO and hot air balloon likely specialize in picking up items. We have no idea what Omochao's special ability could be though. Maybe annoying enemies to death? We also got our first look at one of the unique multiplayer modes on the 3DS. It appears to be a battle mode for up to 4 players. Interestingly, it looks like it plays like one of the character battles from past 3D Sonic games, except with a smart twist. Each player starts with 200 rings, and it's a battle royale to make all the other players lose theirs before you. And not only are you fighting each other, but avoiding stage hazards as well. It really could be a potentially fun multiplayer mode. But the most intriguing thing that come out of the Lost World TGS trailer are the further hints at the game's story. For instance, did you take notice of that little dot near the Sega logo as the trailer begins? That's actually Eggman in his Eggmobile. You have a better look at it later on as Sonic leaps onto the tornado and gives chase, but what is it that Eggman's carrying? It's difficult to say, but it kinda looks like one of his animal capsules. We're more than likely getting our first look at the opening sequence of the game. Sonic and Tails are giving chase to Eggman, who has captured the smaller animals, likely to power his plans on Lost Hex. The tornado is shot down and the two land on this new world, where they learn that Eggman has taken control of the Deadly Six. And of course we know how Sonic mistakenly frees them from Eggman's influence, only for them to wreak havoc. But there's several new scenes that we don't quite know how they fit into the story. For example, there's a rare scene of only Zik and Zavik speaking to one another. No sign of any other characters. While Zik looks confident, Zavik seems to be kind of worried, or at least upset at Zik's presumed overconfidence. We have a feeling that the two are discussing how Sonic has defeated other members of the Deadly Six, but Zik isn't worried about him. Later on, we can also see the slight continuation of the scene where Zik attacks Sonic. It doesn't reveal anything new, but it does show how Sonic will have his hands full. There's also a scene that's similar to the one in the Desert Ruins where the Deadly Six revolt against Eggman. Here, they are all on his side while they confront Sonic, but only Zaz and Zavik can be fully seen. This was also the case in Desert Ruins, except Zomom could also be seen. Are the others darker to keep them mysterious? It seems like an odd choice when they've been front and center ever since the first trailer. Others have said though that they were merely in the shadow of the ruins, but we still think that the Deadly Six have to be activated somehow since Eggman is also in the shadow of the landscape around him. Maybe this really is where the Chaos Emeralds come into play. Next is another cutscene of Eggman with Orbot and Cubot. This time he shoves them away before pointing a gun at the camera. But who's he pointing the gun at? Sonic? Or one of the Deadly Six? And maybe we're wrong, but this may be the first time Eggman's ever held a weapon in his hands other than equipping them to his Eggmobile. It makes it seem like he's more desperate than ever before. And it seems like there's good reason for that as we get our first look at the lava world, now named Lava Mountain. All we see of it though is a large industrial building with an odd looking machine attached. And it's not a drill, but some kind of enormous vacuum. But what does it do? Well, perhaps it sucks all the energy away from nearby life as we see a scene where all the color is drained from a forest. It's this same scene that we get our first look at Amy Rose in Lost World, but there's something different about her. She's not her usual bubbly self and is even holding Tails' device. What the heck is going on? Is the life being drained from her too? And why does she have that device? It just gives the sense that the Deadly Six and whatever this vacuum machine is a greater threat than we previously thought. And it's with that we've covered everything we could pick out from the Sonic Lost World TGS trailer. Please let us know if we've missed anything in the comments. If you liked our analysis, make sure to like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at GameXplain. They're even easy to click on links below. Thanks for watching and be sure to keep an eye on GameXplain for more on Sonic and other things gaming too.